So we just caught the Fireside chat with the devs, and the BARB is back, baby. This was incredible. I think a big win across the board for every class. Before I jump in and look at some of the changes that they did, I actually grabbed all their slides so you guys can see what they're saying is coming, so you know what to expect from the skills, from the legendary changes, from the Paragon board changes. There was a ton of changes, and we're definitely getting it. There was some amazing quality of life choices or changes that I wanted to cover first. So one of the first things, and I'm looking at my notes down here, but the first thing is the respec costs. That has been really rough in endgame to actually respec because it just gets expensive. You finally find an item and you want to roll it up and you're not even sure. Like by the time you upgrade it, get the right aspect on it, and it's like just shy of what you need, and you just paid a fortune to it and you can't do that for a while. I found myself grinding nightmare dungeons to basically drop off gear to get money for one item, and that happened way too many, and I already was doing a ton of nightmare dungeons, but they are going to lower that by 40%. So the respec cost, absolutely incredible. They did that thing where they were having the town portal or different timeout things take 5 seconds instead of 3. They have taken that back to 3. That's going to be awesome. So they were trying to get rid of an exploit where people were using it to escape the boss, and so it was fast enough if they could get away from the major things, they could get out in time rather than dying. Now, one of the craziest things, and I'm going to go into an actual visual, the slides they showed on it, but it's nightmare dungeon density is going up like crazy. We'll get into that. They are also stopping some of the affixes on the sigils so that you will no longer see the resource drain, the cold enchant, and the backstab. Those generally were not working the way they intended them to, and they found it was basically causing more deaths than they really had intended, making it way more fun. And actually, one of my speed up guides has always been delete most of those. If you see them, just sell them, break them down. Don't even worry about it. It'll save you a lot of times in Nightmare Dungeons. Then after that, they also are taking that same density increase and they're looking at doing it in Hell Tides. So this is going to be an incredible patch, but let's get in and let's start looking at what they actually did with the Sorceress, the Barbarian, and pretty much every class. So these are the slides that came straight out of the presentation, and so I want to go through them. I'm not going to go line by line. Some of the things that in here may not make it to the patch entirely, but they said about 90% or more. They're hoping for all, but that's where it's at right now. So when the patch notes come out next week on the 2nd, then we can go back through and see what's actually changed. But I did want you to see them and kind of give my thoughts on the general state of things. So as I mentioned, the Sorceress is getting some crazy buffs. Pretty much all the changes for their skills, for their ability to defend themselves, more damage reduction, whatever they need to stay alive in that end game. A lot of abilities, a lot of the uniques. And so on screen, we are looking at the skills. So you can see the different things that have happened here. Definitely more emphasis being put into actually making Fireball a possibility by changing up both of its last skill tree items. Chain Lightning, there's going to be a lot more where it's actually chaining, which kind of is the point. So that's going to be really cool to see. Let me click over here so we can go through. Okay, so then the passives. So the main passives, I mean, these are designed supposed to be like the ultimate in the skill tree, and a lot of times they feel like they fell flat for the Sorceress, or there's only like one obvious choice that you can use. So putting more abilities to their damage, more abilities to their defense, kind of across the lines, you're just going to see more increase. The ability to start doing better targeting to bosses alone. If you find yourself just having trouble getting that single target damage, then this is definitely something they're going to start changing. Or the effects where you have to hit multiple, they started playing with actually adding things that allow you to actually go after bosses. So here's the Paragon changes, a lot of ups on all of the glyphs that weren't quite doing that much, or spreading the damage over so it's not just affecting the single thing that it's targeting, which was a lot of times like you'd have if you didn't do the crit or you didn't do this one attack or if you didn't whatever it was. And so they're opening up a lot more of that in the glyphs so that the damage is spread over so that you can actually start. If you can trigger it, then you can actually get a lot more, or just if you're actually using that glyph. So Paragon a lot more to Paragon, all ups if you can see that. And then what do we got here? Legendaries, a lot of increases. I mean, some major ones. You got like in the Engulfing Flames, 30 to 40 goes to 60 to 80%. Just an incredible boost. Movement speed down here on the Flame Walkers, that is freaking cool. The Hydra, this is one I'm excited to try because I do like the Hydra build, but I always like, okay, you get the penalty, you get the extra one, but it lasts a lot less. But it already wasn't lasting that long, or it felt like you were constantly managing it. I think taking more of the management of the minions, minute by minute, and stretching that out across the board is going to help. So then we have the recharge aspects. Again, just builds on all kinds of things. Damage reduction. It's just all buffs all the way down. Movement speed increases. Just incredible stuff for the sorceress. I'll let you go ahead and read that on screen. But I want to make sure you got them. These are the slides right from the presentation that they did. So here they are. Some changes to the uniques for the sorceress. So hopefully a lot of these, if you look at all that though, as it stacks up and kind of pairs, it's opening up, I think, different builds, many build options, and even strengthening the ones that are commonly being used right now. So now the Barbarian, this right now is the one I am playing. I'm excited to see this. I did not get to play the early game Barb that was supposed to be just absolutely broken. That would have been exciting to at least open up, the very launch of this game with something a little broken. That would have been cool. But of course, everybody who did pick a Barbarian and started getting like nerfed every chance they got didn't find it so fun. So maybe it worked out. But again, look at this. So much more, or a lot of increases to the Fury gain for all of your generators, more damage. A lot of these builds just haven't been that usable. You can do them in early game, but by the time you get to end game, you're just not doing enough damage. They don't give you what you need, or you're burning through Fury so fast that you can't actually use it. Upheaval's got a major increase. That's going to be incredible. Passives, aggressive resistance, gushing wounds, walking arsenal. Incredible boost all the way across the board. I'm really excited. I have a feeling this is going to be a little on the broken side. So if anybody has been like chomping at the bit to actually go after and play the Barbarian, when this update comes live, it's going to be the time. So again, legendary aspects, man, it's going to be nuts. I love these on the bottom. I always thought the Earthquake was a really cool skill, but it never really panned out when I tried to go down that line. But having the damage reduction while in Earthquake down there at the Bull Kathos, and then Earthquake aspect together, getting a major bump, that's going to be awesome. I always wanted to run that thing where you do the stomp and you get the Earthquake on it. It just didn't pan out that well. So this might actually make that viable. That's going to be cool. Uniques, I'll let you read through those. Some of these, I get uniques all the time, but there always seem to be at the lower end one that I would never use. I'm really excited about this 100,000 steps just because it's switching the evade to the extra bonus evade and movement speed rather than what it was before, which just, the cooldown reduction is not that great. You're doing a lot of damage. It could pan out, but it'd be nice to just have the extra one, because usually when you don't get that lucky hit and your Fury goes up appropriate, or just kind of ends out, or your shout goes out, and then suddenly you're standing there. It doesn't matter if the cooldown effects is slowly going down. It matters that you have an extra charge. So that is really cool. They also boost the Rogue, which it seems nuts to me in some ways, because the Rogue is so powerful right now. This is going to be incredible, but they did mention a lot about opening up some of the other build choices that we don't currently see, that they're trying to get away from, that there is a singular meta for any of the builds, for any of the classes. And so now they're opening up, more of the abilities to make it reasonable. Rain of Arrows, that's such a cool skill, but it really doesn't do what you want it to. It seems to be so underpowered when you actually try it. It's just better to go back to something else. Use that for those points for almost anything else, really. But they're gonna now knock down and then do the second wave, so that's gonna be super cool. Then we got passives. That's all looking great. Legendary improvements as well. So on the legendaries, uniques, Wind Force needs something. I don't know if this is enough, but it has been so rough. I want to play a range rogue. I want to be able to do both, and the range is still a little rough. I think there is finally a viable build. I haven't done it. I'm gonna definitely do a rogue this season for sure. So then Druid got the same kind of spirit increases, but the resources you need early on, they got some boost there, so you can hopefully have a smoother beginning to the game before you get all like the aspects that you need to keep your resources high. You'll actually get some of those chances bumps just from the base resource generators. That's gonna be cool. There's gonna be improvement to your companions, making that viable. It would be cool. I remember earlier druids in Diablo series where you really could just have an army, with you. Not quite like as big as like the Necro army, which is something they did mention they're trying to balance. They don't want it to feel like Necro 2.0 or whatever it is. But I think there's something cool about the druid just having, being so at one with nature that it just controls all of the animals and they're all jumping to his aid. That would just be cool. So more to the Ravens, more legendary skills, class mechanics. There was a neat thing that they were talking about, that right now there's such a heavy reliance on basically people targeting vulnerable damage with crit, that they want to see more things like that, the overpower and damage over time, and I really like to see that too across all the builds, especially with the Necro. That'd be really awesome. Some more of the blood skills, doing that more drain over time, I think would just be absolutely incredible. But man, buffs on every single class, on every single character. They went after legendaries that had problems, and they had a lot of good notes. I think they are finally getting to a point where they're actually hearing what people need, and really going after the minions, not dying immediately on some of the major attacks that destroy them all the time. I loved my minion build in the beta. There was a time where you didn't have to constantly raise them. They actually did decent damage. It was totally legit. By the time the launch actually happened, though, that had been totally stripped. It was no longer fun. It was not really viable if you wanted to be powerful in endgame. Minions were rough. And so the changes here of just taking that down and making it not so easy for them to kill all of your minions will be nice. They made a change to one of the Malignant Hearts and then Temerity. This one, I always thought this was really good. I used it a lot on my Druid, and I'm actually currently trying to get one for my Barbarian, but making this even more powerful, giving it more life, giving it more barrier, that's just going to be incredible. So this is one of my favorite parts of the entire thing, and I'm really excited because I think it does change the gameplay. I mentioned earlier they were increasing the density, but this is the map. So this is what it normally looks like. So this is how it looks right now if you're playing. And when the update comes, it's going to go from this to this. So just look at that mob density. That is going to be absolutely insane. That means that every nightmare dungeon you're running is going to give you far more experience, make it more worth your while, make it more enjoyable for those people that really want the challenge. And even if you're playing at, lower glyph, maybe you don't want to be at 10 plus to get decent experience and you're just playing, 3 above your level or even at your level. Well, hopefully 3 at least, because that's one of the best peaks for experience. But when you're doing that and you have this kind of density, it really does help. They did mention one thing, and it's definitely something to note, is that the density goes up can actually cause problems on some lower end systems. But that's hopefully something that will be worked out, and we can keep seeing this where we can go to where we are just going through and just wrecking mobs of monsters and really feeling our end game. So it just feels like a blast and a lot of enjoyment to it. That seems like right now there's a lot of skipping between things. I don't know what the density is going to look like for Helltides, but that's also getting the boost. So that's going to be awesome. So they did talk about, actually, let's go back right here. So the one thing they did talk about, and I just want to mention, is they are talking a lot more about listening to the community. And it felt like early on that the devs were saying they were listening to the community, but literally not listening to the community. They were basically saying, hey, but we already have a plan and we're just going to do that plan. And I think the game has suffered for it. I do feel after this Fireside Chat and the last one that I think that they are finally getting in their heads that this has to be a collaborative effort. They have a huge game. It's crossing multiple console systems. Gamers have more choices than they've ever had before. And if this game is going to survive and even better be one of the better games that is available to play, then they are going to have to start stepping up these quality of life elements. And they're touching on that. But man, when we're still looking at all the gems that we have in our bag, and then we get to season 1 and we have the Malignants sitting in there in our bag, I get that development is hard. I get that you had a plan, but every plan is great right up until it hits the actual real world. And so that is what's happening right now. And I hope they keep stepping up the way they are. But it is so important, whether you're a fanboy and just want to say how much you love this game, or you're a hater right now, I think is a time, keep actually paying attention to what is going to make this game better. If there's everybody saying horrible things, then yeah, that's really hard for the developers to pick out of that. But if we are saying things very clearly, like this bag thing has to freaking change, I can't have a million freaking gems just sitting in my stuff, then this is the time to do it. We got to actually come together on this if we want to see these changes in the game. I think it is so crucial for the future of it that we keep talking about the key things. Not just saying this game sucks, it's the worst, get rid of it, because that doesn't, what do the developers do with that? Like, oh, I guess it sucks. We just all give up. In order for this game to be what I think everybody that's playing it deserves it to be, that we have to keep pushing on this. We have to keep giving the notes on what's happening. Yes, I do think we need to do a slightly better job at understanding what the developers are going through, but it seemed like they were just simply not listening to us and saying, hey, we already have a plan, and so you're not in it. And that, with all the nerfs that they did early, with still some of the quality of life stuff that still is in the game, and it's being pushed up, it'll be seasons later. I mean, if it's season 2, it doesn't, oh, not bad, 2. That's 3 or 4 months from now. That is not a very promising timeline for something that is causing you to not want to play your game now. And the health of this game very much depends on people wanting to show up and play. So let's keep pushing on this. Let's keep hoping these changes. I can't wait for 1.1.1. It's going to be incredible, and I'm definitely doing a breakdown for that after they confirm all of these changes. But anything you need to see, all the slides are here. You can check them out yourself. Talk to you guys soon.